Alright, so obviously Fire Emblem Engage has taken up a lot of my time these past couple months, but two games came out right after, I think literally 1 week later, that have also eaten up a lot of time and been very enjoyable, and I wanted to share some of my experience with them. The first, I don't think there's as much to really say about it because it's a re-release. It's Goldeneye, considered one of the best games of all time. It's been talked about for decades, and obviously a lot has been said about some of the questionable decisions about the ports we got. It's still kind of a shame they weren't able to release that prototype they had for the Xbox 360, but I'm just happy to have this game at all. Before this, I've only really played multiplayer with friends. I've never really owned the game. So it was really great to re-experience it and be able to experience the campaign for a first time. I did admittedly impress myself a little bit just because I'm not the best at FPSs, although I'm a little better at Goldeneye. Actually, I remember throwing some people off who knew I sucked at FPSs or didn't really think I grew up too much with Goldeneye. And then I sort of come in and hold my own up against them. Although I know I'm still overall nowhere near good. But I thought I was just going to play through the campaign on the easiest difficulty. But then the achievements and the unlockable cheats tempted me, and I did beat it on Double O Agent. It was tough, definitely towards the end specifically, but I got it. I even did, I think, the entire first row on 007 Agent, but I stopped at the solo level. That just didn't feel like it was going to happen anytime soon, or without me pulling out my hair, but still a good time. Facility on 007 Agent was also pretty tough, specifically because I was trying to do the speed run because I knew you unlocked invincibility, which I thought I can use to maybe unlock the rest of the cheats and do the rest of the 007 agent missions. Turns out that's not the case, that you need to beat the mission before being able to use cheats on it. Which I understand, but it would have been nice to at least experience some of the other ideas they had for objectives and enemy layouts and that sort of thing on the highest difficulty. But I don't even know if the original game allowed you to do that anyway, so I had no performance issues. I know some people complain about the controls. I was originally mixed, but I switched it to the one recommended one I saw online, and it was fine ever since then, so I hope that doesn't detract people from playing this classic. The only bad part for me, and this was a personal thing, was for some reason, sometimes when I play FPSs, I get a headache. A pretty bad one. I really don't know why. The last game I remember I had this issue with was Far Cry 5. And I remember having to do some like weird stuff with settings and play in window mode. And that fixed that for the most part. Here it was like the first two sessions, and then there was a point where I took a week off, and then when I came back to it, I don't know, for some reason I need to adjust. So it's kind of weird and unfortunate, but honestly, it's a really good game, obviously, as many other people have said. Actually, I also remember having this issue when I was trying to play the Nightfire campaign, maybe about a year or so ago. But anyway, on to Hi-Fi Rush. What a pleasant surprise that no one saw coming. From where it came from, it just being shadow dropped, and just the great quality overall. I liked it so much. I was playing it on Game Pass, but I wound up buying the game outright just to show my support because where I'm in no rush for a sequel, I would definitely want to see Hi-Fi Rush 2 within, I don't know, 5 years or so. Or maybe even some sort of big expansion. Actually, since the game really likes to break the fourth wall sometimes, which I have no issue with. I know that's something some people are mixed about, but I was kind of hoping they hinted at a sequel. I haven't gotten the secret ending yet, although I'm close, and they have kind of make a joke about it, but I don't know. Like, spoiler alerts for the end of the game, but I don't know. I was hoping Gale and Peppermint had like another sibling, or maybe there was mention of some rival company. Obviously, I think there's ways they can continue things, but they didn't necessarily leave it as a more definitive thing. But I guess sort of how much of a surprise this game was, I guess that does make sense, since it could have easily flopped. But yeah, I would consider this game more of a hybrid platformer and beat 'em up, I guess. It almost reminds me of like in the late 2000s when a lot of series were trying to do that, but it like almost never worked. I remember Crash and Spyro specifically trying it, but I think there were other ones. Sonic Unleashed. This did both things fantastically, though. I mean, the combat, the mechanics around the music, and that is such a good idea. I was once again on the easiest difficulty, but even if you suck at the game, which I have no rhythm, so I'm not the best. Although I tried my best, but you can get away with just spamming attacks and that, which is something I did wind up doing for some of the post-campaign stuff that got a little more challenging, but there is definitely quite a few mechanics, but they introduce them to you nice and slowly, although I still kind of forgot about a couple, particularly parrying in combat, which probably would have been quite useful, but what are you going to do now? But the platforming was really great as well. They did a great job with level design. It was fun to sort of just find some secret paths and that sort of thing. And I really like, in general, the mechanic they had of sort of working on a team. And that's something I hope other platformers take as well. Like, I think it would be cool, I don't know, play a Mario platformer. And you see people want to see all these characters playable, where you go around as Mario, but you can call in Yoshi so that you can do like a float jump, or in combat so you can shoot eggs and that, but you're still primarily playing as Mario. Yoshi's almost like a power up, and that's sort of how Chai works with everyone in his group. And then you can have different combos and interactions. Like, it's a really good idea. The one complaint I do have with the game is that I wish if you were going, like I did, for more of the collectathon part, where you're trying to collect the Vandalay logs or the graffiti paintings, the Spectra doors at the end. Like, I don't know. The levels are pretty long, which isn't a problem, especially when they sort of set that precedent early. But I do have to say, like, if you're missing something at the end of the level, I think it is kind of a lot to ask someone to replay an hour-long level for a collectible. I wish you were able to warp to checkpoints. And even at that, I wish the sections between checkpoints, you sort of knew what you had to look for, or at least had the option to be able to know that from this checkpoint to this checkpoint, you're missing, these Vandalay logs, these power ups, or whatever. Or even just in general, you're missing 5 things. Or even an indication by Chai when he hits a checkpoint of being, I don't know, doing some sort of taunt about how he mastered that section or something. That's something I would definitely want to see in a future entry, because where it was definitely fun the first time, and I was willing to overlook that for a sequel, I don't think I would go for that effort for 100%, depending on what exactly is added, if this isn't, already a feature. The story's passable. The humor is more of, as Mr. Sakurai would say, for good boys and girls, but it got a couple chuckles from me. It had its moments, and I feel like the cast is all likable. It's got, a very great art direction. I love the Jet Set Radio-esque, cel-shaded style, and that this game obviously goes for that. And another game I'm really looking forward to that sort of does a similar thing is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. I'm looking forward to that one. It almost made me a little nervous about this game. I just didn't want two similar games coming out. I want them to both have their opportunity in the spotlight, especially since they're both due out this year, and It does seem like, as much as I love these games and I would love to play two of them, it seems a little niched, so I don't know if you would get a lot of people willing to play both, but I would say that this game is definitely a lot different from what Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is going to try to do, in more of replicating Jet Set Radio. Another mild complaint I guess I have is that how they held off on the costumes till post game. I think that it's just kind of a weird decision, not too big of a deal. Certainly a little bit of an incentive at least, because you need a lot of the currency, I think it was cogs or something, to unlock all the costumes, all the moves, all the items and whatnot. So like, I've pretty much played through every level twice, and I'm still missing quite a bit, so I kind of hope, because I don't really want to do them a third time, at least anytime soon, so I kind of hope that I get a lot of the currency in this, the final post-game section, but I guess we'll see. I guess that would be another minor complaint, too. I don't know, maybe if things carry over to a new game plus or whatever, on a higher difficulty, but even at that, I think it's a lot to ask for people to grind that much to get everything when you know there's going to be people who want to get everything. But I guess that's just part of it.